Nathan Carter hated being late. But that rainy Monday morning, traffic wasn't the real reason his hands were shaking on the steering wheel. Something felt wrong. Like his life was seconds away from changing forever. His 8-year-old son, Oliver, sat quietly in the back seat wearing his school blazer, unaware that within minutes, a secret buried for nearly a decade would explode in front of them both. "Dad, we are going to miss assembly," Oliver said nervously. "We'll make it," Nathan replied automatically. But his mind was somewhere else entirely. The night before had been a disaster. Investors threatening to walk away. Headlines waiting to destroy his company. Another reminder that despite the money, the penthouse, and the expensive suits, his life felt emptier every year. Only Oliver made any of it matter anymore. Nathan finally pulled into the school entrance, rain pouring across the crowded courtyard. Parents rushed children through the gates while teachers shouted instructions from under umbrellas. Oliver grabbed his backpack and opened the car door. "You coming to my football match tonight?" Nathan hesitated. "I'll try." Oliver's expression fell instantly. "You always say that." The words hit harder than any business meeting ever could. Nathan stepped out of the car to follow him inside, and then suddenly stopped dead. Near the school gates stood a woman fixing a little boy's scarf. Chestnut hair. Cream coat. Familiar smile. Nathan's heart nearly stopped. Emily. The woman who vanished from his life 9 years ago without explanation. The woman he once planned to marry. The woman he never truly forgot. But seeing Emily again wasn't the part that destroyed him. It was the child standing beside her. The little boy turned around, and Nathan felt the blood drain from his face. The child looked exactly like him. Not similar. Not close. Exactly. Same dark hair. Same grey eyes. Even the same tiny dimple near his mouth. For one terrifying second, Nathan genuinely forgot how to breathe. Who was this child? And why did he have Nathan's face? Before he could stop himself, Nathan walked toward them. "Emily?" She looked up and instantly froze. The color vanished from her face so fast it told Nathan everything before she even spoke. "Nathan," she whispered. His eyes dropped to the boy again. Every instinct in his body screamed the same horrifying possibility. "Who is he?" Emily immediately placed a protective hand on the child's shoulder. "This isn't the place." That answer only made Nathan's pulse race harder. "Who is he?" he repeated. The little boy looked confused. "Mom?" Nathan's chest tightened painfully at the word. Emily swallowed hard. "This is Daniel." Nathan stared at the child in disbelief. Daniel stared back innocently, completely unaware that one sentence was about to destroy 4 lives at once. Nathan forced himself to ask the question he already feared he knew the answer to. "How old is he?" Emily closed her eyes briefly. 8. Everything inside Nathan collapsed. 8. The exact same age as Oliver. Suddenly, every tiny detail became impossible to ignore. The resemblance. Emily's panic. The timing. And one terrifying thought began screaming louder than all the others. "Is that my son?" "You lied to me," Nathan said quietly. Emily looked shattered. "You told me you never wanted children." "I know." "You disappeared without a word." Rain hammered against umbrellas around them while parents passed by, completely unaware that a family secret was exploding beside the school gates. Emily glanced around nervously. Please, not here. Nathan laughed bitterly. Not here. You vanish for nearly a decade, and then I find you standing outside my son's school with a child who looks exactly like me. Daniel slowly moved closer to Emily. Mum, who is he? Nathan's chest tightened again. Emily knelt beside her son carefully. Go inside, sweetheart. But, please. Daniel hesitated before walking toward the school entrance, looking back repeatedly at Nathan the entire time. The second he disappeared inside, Nathan turned back to Emily. And this time, his voice became deadly quiet. Tell me the truth. Emily's eyes filled with tears instantly. Your father threatened me. Nathan blinked in confusion. What? He came to see me after you proposed. Nathan felt his stomach twist. My father? Emily nodded. He told me I would ruin your future. He said your family would destroy me if I stayed with you. Nathan stared at her in disbelief. No. His father could be controlling, but not cruel like this. Right? Emily's next sentence shattered that illusion instantly. He offered me money to disappear. Nathan's jaw tightened. And you took it? Emily flinched. No. Then why leave? Her voice cracked. Because 2 weeks later, I found out I was pregnant. Nathan stopped breathing. For a second, the entire world seemed to go silent around him. I tried contacting you, Emily whispered through tears. But every message disappeared. Every letter came back unopened. Nathan stared at her blankly. My father told me you left because you met someone else. Emily gave a painful laugh. And he told me you didn't want us. Us? One word. One devastating truth. Nathan suddenly realized something horrifying. He had spent 9 years hating the wrong person. How long did you know? He asked weakly. Since the beginning. Nathan turned away sharply, trying to process what she was saying. If Emily was telling the truth, then someone had stolen nearly a decade from them. And there was only one person powerful enough to do it. His father. Then Nathan asked the question he was almost afraid to hear answered. Daniel is mine. Emily looked directly into his eyes. And nodded once. Nathan felt something inside him break. 8 birthdays. 8 Christmas mornings. 8 years of first words, school plays, nightmares, laughter, scraped knees, bedtime stories. Gone. Stolen from him before he even knew they existed. I missed his entire life, Nathan whispered. Emily started crying harder. I never wanted that. Nathan suddenly remembered something. I searched for you. Emily looked stunned. What? For months after you disappeared. Her eyes widened. But they told me you stopped looking. Nathan shook his head slowly. No. That single word exposed the full horror of what had happened. Both of them had been manipulated. Both of them had been lied to. And 2 little boys had grown up without knowing they were brothers. A voice suddenly interrupted them. Dad. Nathan turned around instantly. Oliver stood nearby holding his football boots. And beside him stood Daniel. The boys were staring at each other in complete shock. Because now they were side by side, the resemblance was undeniable. Same eyes. Same hair. Same expression. Oliver looked slowly at Nathan. Why does he look like me? Silence filled the courtyard. Emily looked terrified. Nathan looked at both boys and realized this next moment would change their lives forever. Daniel spoke first. "Mum, who is he?" Nathan crouched slowly in front of them both. His throat tightened so badly it hurt to speak. But he knew he couldn't lie anymore. "You two are brothers," he said softly. The boys froze. Oliver blinked rapidly. "What?" Daniel stared at Nathan with wide eyes. Then came the question Nathan wasn't emotionally prepared for. "Does that mean you're my dad too?" Nathan felt tears burn his eyes instantly. After 9 years, this was the first time his son had ever asked him that question. And he only had one answer. Yes. Daniel's face completely changed. Shock. Confusion. Hope. All at once. Emily covered her mouth, crying openly now. Nathan carefully held out his hand toward the boy he had unknowingly missed every single day of his life. For one painful second, Daniel hesitated. Then he stepped forward and hugged him. That was the moment Nathan broke completely. Not in a boardroom. Not during his divorce. Not during the collapse of his company. Here. Outside a school. Holding the son he never knew existed. And then something even more emotional happened. Oliver wrapped his arms around both of them too. The three of them stood there in the rain together while the truth finally settled around them. A family that should never have been separated in the first place. But the biggest shock of all was still waiting for Nathan. That evening, the four of them sat together in a quiet restaurant near the Thames, trying to process everything that had happened. The boys were already laughing like they had known each other forever. At one point, Oliver grinned proudly. "So technically I'm older." Daniel frowned. "By how much?" Emily hesitated. Then quietly answered. 20 minutes. Nathan stared at her. His brain struggled to catch up. 20 minutes. Emily looked down at the table. They're twins. Nathan nearly dropped his glass. Twins. Not just brothers. Twins. Which meant the nightmare was even worse than he imagined. One child had been hidden from him. And the other had somehow ended up adopted into his own life without either parent knowing the truth. Nathan felt physically sick realizing how far his father had gone to separate them. Emily began crying again. "They told me my second baby died after birth." Nathan immediately reached for her hand. And this time, she didn't pull away. Because after 9 years of lies, secrets, and stolen time, they finally understood the truth. Someone had tried to destroy their family before it even began. But somehow, against impossible odds, they had all found each other again.